So immediate action is nothing but load your darn gun. If loading your gun doesn't work, unload your gun and load your gun. Let's talk about stoppage reduction. Most of the time when people are talking about fixing their gun, they want to know what went wrong with it. They want to diagnose it, right? So did it not close all the way? Is the magazine not seated all the way? Does it have a piece of brass stuck in the ejection port so it didn't eject fully? And then what they do is they apply a specific medicine, right? A specific answer to the problem they see. And that has a whole bunch of problems with it. One, requires your eyes to come to the gun and off the threat. It requires light to see the gun. It requires time, and it requires a lot of decision making, right? Because you have to see what's wrong, you have to diagnose it correctly, and then you have to pick the right answer for that problem. And we've seen in scenario-based training especially, or in competitions where we're setting up blind stages where people don't know what's going to happen, is we've seen that when people are trained with malfunction clearance, with diagnostic malfunction clearance, is they usually really crumble, right? They get stuck in the diagnostic phase and they waste a lot of time deciding, or they do the wrong thing. Because they have multiple options, they just pick the wrong answer, even if they did diagnose it correctly. What we're going to do is what's called an immediate action drill. So no matter what goes wrong with your gun, you're going to apply one answer. It doesn't require you think, it doesn't require you look at the gun, it doesn't require any light, and there's no choices, right? If we look at how the mind works and how fast decisions are made, we know that if you have an immediate action drill, you have X amount of time it takes you to respond. We also know that if you have two options to choose from, your reaction time will double. And if you have three options to choose from, it doesn't add on one more amount of reaction time, it doubles the reaction time again, right? So it's twice as slow to have two choices, and it's 4 times slower to have 3 choices. And it gets worse and worse and worse. So we're going to do an immediate action drill. Simplest way to do it is if the gun doesn't fire for any reason, you're going to apply immediate action. Okay, immediate action. That won't always work, but in my experience, it's going to work over 90% of the time, probably over 95% of the time. It's going to fix the problem. Most problems on the gun can be fixed with immediate action. There's a small percentage of problems that can't be fixed with immediate action, and that's why we have a thing called remedial action. Now, you don't choose to use remedial action because you look at the gun and figure out that immediate action won't work. What happens is you do immediate action, right? You do immediate action, and the gun didn't fire. It didn't work. That causes you to go into remedial action. So once again, there's no thinking. Do immediate action. If it doesn't work, do remedial action. If remedial action doesn't work, you probably need tools. You need your pocket knife, you need a rod of some sort, you need some kind of tool. The gun is jammed, okay? Remedial action, immediate action, remedial action, okay? That's the drills we're gonna do. So most of the time in my experience watching 20,000 students do this is almost the only time you need to use remedial action is because you did a bad job of immediate action. You weren't decisive with immediate action. You fiddled with the gun instead of decisively moving things and treating the gun like you own it and like you're in charge of it, right? You got to hit that gun and rack that slide like you mean it, right? You don't need to baby these things at all. If you can hit your gun or rack your slide so hard you break your gun, you just found out you've got a really lousy gun. So we want to treat the guns really rough when we're doing these drills. And if we do that, immediate action is going to work more often, all right? But occasionally you will get some sort of malfunction that immediate action won't fix. Then you go into remedial action. That should fix just about anything. Well, it'll fix anything that can be fixed without tools, right? Immediate action, remedial action. All right, dry fire session for immediate action or remedial action. You can do this with a magazine without a follower, or you can use dummy rounds. I'll demonstrate with both. What we're going to do is we're going to be aimed in, and we're going to go to shoot the gun, and the gun didn't go off. The gun didn't go off, so we take our finger off the trigger, and we tap, rack, bang, right? And we're holding our sights steady, equal daylight left and right, one horizontal line across the top, all that stuff. right? You can reset the trigger. You can do that with a trigger hold drill or not. We're going to find the trigger, prep the trigger, try to shoot the gun doesn't shoot, finger off the trigger, tap, rack, press. When you press, you can press and hold, reset and feel the reset, right? Or we can do what we did with our second drill when we were doing the aimed in position. So watch my trigger finger this time. So this time I go to shoot the gun doesn't shoot. I tap, rack. This time I shoot and I reset my finger and repress as if I'm firing another shot. So we can practice all of that. I can also, once I have this down, and you really feel good about the fact that, okay, the gun didn't shoot, I know my tap rack, I know my shooting. Once you feel good with that, then we can do it from the ready position. We can come up, mount the gun doesn't fire, tap, rack, shoot again. Okay, so that is immediate action, and you're going to do that a lot. You should get very, very good at that. All right, remedial action. You can do remedial action with that magazine without a follower in it, or you can use dummy rounds. I'll demonstrate with both. It's just a simulation so that we can learn our hand skills. So, draw to the ready. You're going to engage the target. The gun didn't shoot. Right? Do your immediate action. The gun still doesn't shoot. Do your remedial action. Okay, so that is it done without dummy rounds, with just a magazine with no follower. Now I'll do it with dummy rounds. So of course I use my tactical reload to swap it out. Might as well use skills we already know. Mount the gun doesn't shoot. Gun still doesn't shoot. There you go. So immediate action, remedial action. You're going to work dozens of those, right? Work your immediate action first, get it down, do it on video. Once you know that you have your tap rack down, done correctly, then move on to remedial action, get it down pat. And now when you're at the range, if by chance you actually have a malfunction when doing any of your live fire drills, you know what to do. Hello, my name is Greg Hamilton. I'm going to be your primary instructor for the General Defensive Handgun class. Everyone that owns a gun that's going to use it for self-defense, this is the appropriate level of instruction that they should get. So once again, grip, clear, lock, ready, sight. Gun didn't fire for some reason. Tap, rack, bang. It still didn't fire. Lock, rip, work, tap, rack, bang. We're going to have a system of being aware, and it's going to start with condition white. It's going to go white, yellow, orange, red, and black. That is the justification for use of deadly force, is the conservation of innocent life. You're going to come back, you're going to come down, you're going to grab that concealment with your middle finger lifted out of the way and holster the gun. Like always, when you holster your gun, gently holster your gun to ensure that nothing is in the holster, in the trigger guard, etc. You don't need to shove the gun in the holster. Place it gently in the holster. Come back to the ready position, and now 2-on-1 exercise. The exact same size dimensionally as far as the height of the gun and the length of the gun as the Glock 19. The difference is it's much thinner. Full grip clearance, covered trigger guard, and then lastly, it's rigid and non-collapsible. So after I take the gun out, the holster doesn't collapse and I'm able to put the gun away. No problem at 3.5.